Liberation greetings to all and sundry. Liberation greetings to all and sundry, my dear people of Ambazonia, my fellow brave warriors of our liberation movement. Greetings to all Southern Cameroonians. Today is Tuesday, and this Tuesday is September 19, 2023, and my name is Comrade John Akuro. My people of Ambazonia, I am delighted to be back with us here today. So we try to take a very cursory look at our liberation movement. We'll look at some of the things that are coming right ahead. We'll look at some of the ongoings in this liberation movement, and we also have the opportunity to examine the strategies being put in place by La République du Cameroon to see how to, kill our dream of absolute independence, our dream of total freedom. I want to begin by actually extending my heartfelt sympathy to all our self-defense volunteers, to the family of Comrade Bitakola, to all those who were working with him, who have been accustomed to working with him, as they selflessly stood up every day to go out there and defend our homeland and fight for the dream, the big dream, the dream of a free and independent Ambazonia. Wherever you are, I'd like you to observe a minute of silence and offer prayers for the repose of the soul of our comrade and all those who fell with him, and also to pray for his family and all those that he leaves behind, and pray for all the other comrades in arms who continue to stand up for our freedom. May the souls of the faithful departed rest in peace. My dear people of Ambazonia, I want to congratulate our people on Ground Zero for a job well done, for a great job done within the past 2 weeks. And of course, we're also seeing clear signs of total defiance to the domination or the colonial presence of La République du Cameroon on our territory. For 2 weeks, our people held their children back home. For 2 weeks, our people closed their shops, closed their businesses, closed everything and stayed indoors. For 2 weeks, our people sent a message to the rest of the world that Ambazonians will never be forced to move according to the dictates of La République du Cameroon, because we are absolutely not the same people. La République du Cameroon's colonial presence on our territory has lasted just too long. It has lasted many years too long that it is time to put an end to it. The road ahead may be tawdry. My people, the task ahead of us still very daunting and difficult. But trust me, with the will, the strong will, the determination, and the focus required, we will get there sooner than later. I had the occasion to look at some of the pictures that came out of where our comrade Bitakola fell. And I saw some of the flyers produced by apparatchiks of La République du Cameroon, on which you could conspicuously see the flag of Cameroon. And then a little inscription by the side. They said Bitakola had gone ahead to the Canada pre-talks. If you don't take time to try to understand what this means, you may just pass over it. But that is a message. The message is clear and very strong that La République du Cameroon is telling us they will never, ever sit down for any discussions with us, for any negotiations with us, unless we have made life impossible for them. We have choked them and they cannot breathe anymore. Folks, it goes to confirm what I started saying way back in 2019 when we had those overtures that took us to Switzerland, and then eventually when they even pretended, because they actually even came to Canada for pre-talks, that La République du Cameroon is all about make-believe, it's all about delay tactics, it's all about playing around, thinking that time is on their side. That mockery, because that is mockery, must definitely anger you the way it angered me. That mockery must definitely get into your thin skin the way it got into mine. That mockery must definitely rattle each and every one of us the way it rattled me. This is why I like all of us to continue to rise up in holy anger every day to fight by whatever means we can to make sure we liberate homeland. That is the only place we have that we can call home. We all know that nothing ever replaces home. We have seen situations where people from our continent have even moved to France, taken French nationality, played for France in the French football team, won trophies for France. But at the end of the day, when they stopped being useful, we heard the French refer to them as l'Ivoirien. Oh yes, you definitely know the players I'm talking about. Some of them often cried on the field when they lost, when the French lost, cried more, even more than the French themselves. But at the end of the day, they will remind them that c'est la star ivoirienne. But when they were en vogue, bringing the trophies into France, they refer to them as le français, la star française. So this should tell you that no matter how we migrate, how we move, no matter the decisions we take, no matter the new nationalities that we take, home remains home. Nothing will ever replace home. That is why we need to rise in holy anger and fight for that which belongs to us. My people of Ambazonia, I continue to say by day and by night that we must not relent our efforts. Never. Don't ever listen to anything coming to you from anywhere that La République du Cameroun plans in one way or the other ever to sit down to say that let's discuss the future of Ambazonia. It doesn't concern them. When you hear them make the expression in French, le Cameroun a déjà fait son histoire, it means what it means. Some will say, oh no, they were just making noise at that time because they thought that. No, I have said before and I will repeat it. When someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't wait until the third, fourth, and fifth time. Believe them the first time. Because from the time that the people of Cameroon made those expressions, they have continued to show us every day that it is by power and by force that we will be subdued. Folks, our brothers and sisters, whom I warned several times, don't be claiming to belong. A good lot of them are calling me on a daily basis and telling me, oh, they have just carried out appointments in our ministry, in the police force, in the gendarmerie, in everywhere, and we are virtually nowhere to be found. Everywhere we are assistants, they are removing us from all kind of places, sending us punitively to all kinds of, and I tell them, I have informed you several years back that you don't belong. When you force yourself onto a people who don't want you, don't complain when they treat you poorly. This is a fact. Because right now, right I was preparing to come for this live show, someone sent me this piece of information. Oh, Mr. Akuro, please make sure you talk to our people about this because it's gross injustice. I say it is not injustice. La République du Cameroun is simply being La République du Cameroun. That is who they are. Because he said 526 police inspectors have just been recruited. And of the 526, 450, a whooping 450 are only from the center and the south. Which means that even the north, the far north, the Adamawa, the west, the littoral, the east, and which other part? Good. All of these regions I've just called only found themselves sharing the remaining 76 positions. 76 positions. And then they say, can you imagine that of these 526, less than 10, only about 7 or 8 are from Southern Cameroon? What did you expect? Listen, folks, the Ekang-Beti Bulu people, they are preparing for a war that is going to come up in their country. They are preparing for the war of succession that will be launched after Paul Biya. They are seeing what is happening in other countries around. They are trying to reinforce their numbers, reinforce their capacities to make sure they are ready to teach the people from the 3 northern regions that keep making us about the million the northeast, ready to teach them a lesson, preparing to teach the Bamilikes a lesson, preparing to teach the people from the littoral a lesson. Anyone that raises their head that want to protest or contest Frank Biya, this is the preparation. So you are not part of it. We are not part of this soup. So stop complaining. Because I said, anytime you carry ant-infested firewood into your house, lizards must come visiting. How do you find yourself struggling to compete to be in a foreign force whose elements are even used to kill your people and to kill the dream of your children and your children's children? Look at the top military man who turned his toy against his fellow colleague from the southern Cameroons and tore several, bullets into his system. He has been lowered. What has happened to the guy? They say, oh, he was detained. But trust me, he has simply been transferred because they concluded that he was just having a bad day. And so because he was having a bad day, he had to exercise how to shoot on an animal, on a subhuman. Yeah, on a subhuman, because that's who you are. My people of Ambazonia. I bring these salient truths to us here every day so that we know where we stand. La République du Cameroon is hell-bent on trying to tell the world that, as a matter of fact, they have subdued us. That's why you see they'll even bring a caricature of an interview of some European diplomat. They say it was a leader of the European Union mission in Cameroon, leaving, and they say, oh, he has said it's an internal affair, they cannot interfere, they cannot. Listen, we have heard these songs. You will continue to hear these songs as long as we have not choked La République du Cameroon to the point where they become the ones running around the world to say this thing is no longer internal. Please, it's no longer internal. Talking about internal, talk about civil war, this is a subject matter for another day. Because there's a silent debate going on that needs to be clarified. So, my people of Ambazonia, before I delve into the core of our conversation for today, let me remind those who are yet to register for the Southern Cameroon People's Conference in Canada that will be held from the 5th to the 8th of October, do so now. Do so now and seek all the help you need to get so that you should be part of this very important conference. Like I've said, this conference should provide us a unique opportunity to build a great coalition of the willing so that together we shall be able to shorten our journey to independence, our journey to freedom. My people of Ambazonia, you may hear all kinds of things, you may be told all kinds of things, but there is one thing that is fundamental here. That notion that together we will be stronger. That notion that it makes sense to settle down and examine the strategies we have used this far. Look at new strategies we can use. Sharpen our tools and get ready to return to the arena. Because we are heading towards a final sprint. And since we're heading towards the final sprint, it is important for us to take care of every single detail. This conference in Toronto, Canada, provides us with that unique opportunity to do this. If you have not registered just yet, I'm displaying here the URL, as you can see below there, www.scpconference.com. Type that URL, Go inside there and you will get all the information you need. You will get answers to all questions that still arise in your mind regarding this conference. And if you have further questions that cannot be answered by the information provided there, you have a section for contact where you will pick up the contacts of those who are in the organizing committee, and they will give you far more information than you might be getting just some little gossips here and there. So it's important for you to be part of this conference and do everything you can to really be part of this very important rendezvous. That said, my people, I want to say this. La République du Cameroon is planning a massive genocide in the period leading up to October 1 and the few days after October 1. I don't want to talk about the day itself. I say the period leading up to October 1. We are literally inside. Because today already is the 19th, tomorrow is the 20th, and of course, you should see that we're 10 days away, or just 11 to October 1. So these days leading up to October 1 are very delicate days. La République du Cameroon is preparing a genocide of untold proportions. And all I need to do is plead on all of us to play safe. If you don't have anything so important that you need to do out of your home, stay at home. Listen, avoid going out of your home after 6 p.m. Avoid it like a plague. Avoid drinking spots. Avoid crowded environments. Avoid any kind of place that can put you in harm's way. I'm definitely going to come back to this with the details. But before that, let me come over here. You must have seen this picture circulating on social media. Of course, an indication that our people, in their vast majorities, have decided to continue to show defiance. But the interesting thing about this picture is that all the interurban companies plying the roads into and out of Ambazonia, out of the southern Cameroons, decided to down tools in solidarity with the other companies that were recently banned by the self-defense volunteers from operations until further notice. By this single act, La République du Cameroon has swept another massive humiliation. Don't ask me how, because I know you will tell me that, oh, it's bringing a lot of pains and feeling pains on the people, and you are turning pain onto your own people. Listen, folks, in a liberation movement like this one, in this age, in the third millennium, they always say, see something, say something. Hear something, say something. Or do something. La République du Cameroon has struggled to show an image to the rest of the world that normalcy has returned on ground zero. La République du Cameroon has struggled to show to the face of the world that all our self-defense volunteers have been wiped out and they have total control of our territory in total serenity. Our life had returned to normal, everything was okay. But listen, the fact that all these big transport companies, some of which are even owned by citizens of La République du Cameroon, based in Ambazonia, obeyed this ban just this Tuesday is a clear demonstration of the power equation, of the power play on the ground. If they did not have the power, if they did not have the capacity, and has shown that they have the capacity to do what they are saying, this interurban transport company would have continued their operations in total defiance. But La République du Cameroon had urged them to continue their operations in total defiance of the call or the ban from the Ambazonian self-defense volunteers. Listen, This should tell you, it should tell me that the people on the ground, all the actors on the ground, they know the power play better than you and I do. And this should be an indication to the rest of the world that the situation on ground zero has never ever been in the control of La République du Cameroon. This should tell everyone around the world that the so-called normalcy La République du Cameroon have been claiming does not exist, that it is in their minds, it is utopic. This should be a sound message to the rest of the world that those who own this territory have the power to determine what happens on their territory. And this is a fact, it's clear. It's glaring before everybody's eyes. So this is not a joke. Look at. They raise down their tools. And of course, you can easily understand why the rest of the companies had to down their tools. One, it is a normal thing to do to be in solidarity with the others. But most importantly, they knew that they would easily find themselves in a crossfire. Exactly what I always tell our civilian population. Don't put yourself in harm's way because you find yourself in the crossfire. Because they knew, the others that were not banned, that if they went out for their operations, La République du Cameroon will say they are collaborators of the Ambazonian self-defense volunteers. They will come under fire from La République du Cameroon. They will be attacked by forces loyal to non-Nigerian Paul Biya. They knew, they are aware of what is going on ground zero. So my people of Ambazonia, this goes to the credit of each and every one of us that the efforts we are putting in place are not in vain, but we need to up our game. We need to become more deliberate. We need to remain resilient and very determined, but most especially, we need to be focused on our objective. We have to continue to be focused because this is a clear indication that these interurban transport companies know the power play on the ground. They know that those who told them you are banned have the capacity to enforce the ban. That is exactly what La République du Cameroon will not want anyone in the world to know or imagine. This is a massive setback for them. This falls straight in line with what we call defiance. And now, this leads me, therefore, to another thing. Take a look at this press release. That press release is by the Director General of Pamol Plantations Limited out there in Lobe. And that Director General of Pamol does not even live in Lobe. He doesn't. He has transferred the headquarters of his company to Douala and mainly lives and operates in Douala. I mean the Director General of Pamol. Now, when the vulnerable people, the civilian population that they constantly use to want to give the fake impression that things are normal, find themselves in harm's way, this is all they do. What is interesting in that press release is he says this, the last paragraph. Pamol management equally calls on its entire workforce to remain resolute and steadfast during these difficult times while hoping the administration and forces of law and order will take necessary measures to improve on the security situation within the Lobe estate and its environment. Trust me, there is no protection that you will have. None. If you are doubting, ask the people of Boya. When the self-defense volunteers invaded Boya about 2 weeks ago, with all the firepower they had with them, all those soldiers, the whatever, they all escaped. The bees, the gendarmes, I said they all escaped. All. None of them showed up. But when the boys were gone, they emerged from their hiding and started capturing the local civilians, causing them to sit on mud, in water, and everything, and kidnapped a good lot of them into their various cells and started collecting 50,000 CFA francs as ransom from each one before setting them free. And they were warning, if you don't pay the money, you'll be tagged amber and transferred to Yaoundé. And of course, like I said before, I asked someone, do you have the feeling that those forces even think remotely that they will get one of those boys that operated in the city that day among those that they were capturing on the road and asking them to sit in the mud? And the answer was no. But why do it? Because that is their mode of operation. They are there for extortion and not to protect anyone. If the Director General of PAMO, Mr. Mbile Tapia Solomon, the general manager, if he actually believed in that protection, in that security from the so-called forces of law and order, he will not transfer the head office of PAMO to Douala. He himself will be there in Lobe, at the Lobe estate. But no, he will not be there. Even if he happens to come there visiting, he will be surrounded by about 10 layers of bee. But he is telling you, with nothing, with no one around you guarding you, to go out there and put yourself in harm's way, that you are staying there to work because the security situation will be improved. Folks, leave that place. You have been told, leave the place, go to safety, leave the place. I've said here 1,001 times. My focus is on the safety of the civilian population. I don't want anything to happen to any civilian because those are things that can be avoided. And because it can be avoided, let us avoid it. Yes, there are things that can be avoided. Avoid it. Obey and stay safe. Don't use your life to become a sacrificial lamb for a colonial administration that will never ever recall your name even. That will never ever remember your name. Don't do that. They know, and it is absolutely irresponsible for a general manager like that one to see such a situation and continue to tell unarmed civilians to put themselves in harm's way, to find themselves in an eventual crossfire, knowing full well what will happen to them. It is irresponsible. But especially, therefore, my people, to you, the civilian population in Lobe, listen, my only message, depart to safety. Protect your lives first. That's the most important thing. That leads me to yet another situation. You find here the colonial administration through their colonial SDOs in Ambazonia sending out yet a number of other absolutely unrealistic instructions. All of this geared at setting the people up, putting civilians in harm's way. I just got this message circulated from some of the teachers in Kumba. And this is a principal forwarding it to teachers. Once more, I have been requested by hierarchy to request you to report to your job sites on daily basis. You are to open attendance sheets with arrival and departure times of the principals and their personnel, clearly stated whether classes are going on or not. Whether classes are going on or not, principals, teachers must report to school. This is to the divisional delegate for secondary education. Teaching must go on, even if there is just one student. Each Friday, the attendance sheet is forwarded to the SDO through the delegate. The daily statistics must be forwarded latest 9 a.m. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. Thanks. Look at this, is a message downloaded by divisional delegates to the principals and then, of course, to the teachers. We witnessed a situation 2 weeks ago where 2 head teachers in Boyo lost their lives. I found out the administration never even stepped at the funerals. No, the administration, the colonial administration never ever sent any form of support to the families as we're struggling to bury their dead. Yet, they sit behind, want to use you because of something they call in French matricule that they feel you must protect. So because of that, they hold you to your throat. If you don't go to that school, we'll suspend that salary. But when you go and die, of course, that salary will even still be suspended. Because I inquired, for most of the civil servants, teachers and all the likes, that died within the framework, or that lost their lives within the framework of this ongoing genocidal war by the Republic in our territory, not a single family have received either the pension or what they call a French capital d'essai for any of these people. Not one. They have made documents upon documents upon documents, and they tell them there is no money. So you die defending money that will not even be released to your family after you are gone. No use. Absolutely no use. My people, before I come to the core message of this broadcast, which will be ending soon, I'd like us to share the perspective of this gentleman who was a panelist on an Equinox evening TV debate on Thursday, September 14. Just listen to him. You will hear him articulate what I'm talking about, perhaps even better than I do, and you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. Listen.
Cameroon that we are living in today, I'm afraid of the Third Republic, because what is happening now is reserving a very high price that shall be paid in the Third Republic. The lockdown. Who is responsible for the lockdown? 2 people are responsible for the lockdown. The Amba boys are responsible for the lockdown, and the local authorities and the government are responsible for the lockdown. And I explain. You see, the Amba boys took time, studied this government, and discovered that it was a government that did not mean well for its people. Because the government itself has shown proof that they are not interested in the education of Cameroon. If they were interested, the maximum security, or there would have been sufficient security for the teachers and the students put in place, not only in terms of guns security, even in terms of financial security, like Mr. Raoul Mopit said there a while ago. You will bear with me that when the teachers came up with a plan that they were not happy the way they were treated, the government played the role of prolongation, and that is how every problem in Cameroon has led to escalation. When a problem comes up, instead of taking maximum steps to solve the problem, they play the role of prolongation with the hope that along the line they will buy over others, they will buy the consciences of those who are weak, they will drop, and those who want to continue, they will be intimidated. If the intimidation does not pass a message sufficient enough for them to stop, they will end up where we all know that they will end up. Now, looking at the situation of Northwest and Southwest squarely, I want to tell you that, let me put the government aside tonight, because the government has already failed. It is well established. The government cannot win this war. It is well established. The Ambazonians cannot win the war. It is well established. What has or have the local authorities, like the mayors, the councillors, been doing? What has the elites in Northwest and Southwest been doing? They have joined the crew that behind the curtains they are eating very fast, but when they come out they shout, oh, we want Amba to finish, whereas they are playing a silent and sacred role of complicity. I know what I'm saying. You know, last week when schools were resuming, 2 teachers were assassinated in Boyo, where I come from. And I will tell you that when I went on air to condemn, the first people who attacked me were the elites of Boyo. I am saying it tonight, and I'm saying it with a lot of confidence. You see hypocrites in the name of politicians. They create forums every day. They put people there. They say they are preaching development. What is development without humanity at the center? People die. Instead of the mayors, the councillors, all the elected officials to come out clear and shout to the top of their voices, they don't want to talk about it. Yet they are preaching development. But I have this message for the teachers in Northwest and Southwest, and until the message sinks, I will not stop it. Don't die fighting a mathematical number. Don't die defending a mathematical number. If you know that your security is not guaranteed in Northwest and Southwest, please use this pen, resign. We have fertile soils in Cameroon everywhere. You can go and do your farming. I've been preaching this message, and until the teachers get it, because the politicians sit behind in Northwest and Southwest, they manipulate these teachers to go and clean schools, snap it, send on WhatsApp, and then the local authorities send it to Yaoundé that everything in Boyo, everything in Mezam, everything in Momo, everything in Meme is under control. Nothing is under control. And at the end, when the Amba boys pick up these people, they are on their own. You don't see any politician come out to cry for them. You don't see any politician even go to organize a funeral for these people. So I want to think that in as far as we all want schools to go back and that our children need to go to school, it is better to have a child who is an illiterate, who is alive, than to have a child dead because he's struggling to go to school. And it all comes.
So, I think that is just so clear. Just so clear. This was broadcast on Equinox Television on Thursday, September 14, 2023. So, if you had not heard it from me, if it did not sink into your mind, I guess this is someone who is on the ground, himself a parent, very concerned, himself totally involved as a member of the civil society, perhaps as an opinion leader, articulating the point neatly, straight and squarely. Stay safe. Your life is bigger than that thing they call matricule. That these politicians want to sacrifice you for their promotion. The local colonial administrators want to sacrifice you for their promotion. The local divisional delegates principals want to sacrifice you for their promotion. They will never be there for you. They themselves are aware that the so-called reinforcement of the security they are talking about does not exist. That is why they themselves, the SDOs, the colonial SDOs, the colonial SDOs, cannot move without at least 3-4 layers of B around them. Yet they expect you to move bare body, just you like that, to go and die to glorify them. This is something you must be very careful about. Folks, this is not a laughing matter. I like us to even finish up what he's saying.
Back to all the teachers who are in Northwest and Southwest. The case of the other 8 regions may be the maltreatment that have been given to them by the state as far as their salaries or whatever is concerned. But if you are in Northwest and Southwest and you know that your life is at risk, please resign so that you will live. Go and become a farmer and you will live very well, because the government will never secure you. There is no guarantee that you will live. When there was guarantee, and as I'm telling you, there are areas in Northwest you are told that there is military everywhere, but then teachers are kidnapped. Go to Boya. The other day you saw the case of Monya. As we were talking 3 days ago, a truck driver and a motorboy was gone down at Ikiliwindi near the checkpoint. How did it happen? As I'm talking to you, you must have seen a video that has gone viral. The policeman in Boya, taken by the Amber Boys, and he's in their hands. That is a man who has everything it takes to secure himself. Then you ask a teacher without any security. And what baffles me the more is that the DOs, the SDOs, and the government, they have 100% security, whereas their impact is not even felt by the population. Yet a teacher who is a nation builder, who is next to God, because we cannot talk about God without talking about teacher. A teacher is that person who builds, he transforms. And for a teacher to transform, the teacher must have a cool mind. Yet you abandon the teacher's security at the mercy of his own self, and then you go protecting the DOs, the governors, who have no impact to me. Those sort, I think the security comes back to the teachers. If you don't feel secure, resign. Cameroon that we are living in today, I'm afraid of the Third Republic, because what is happening now.
So I just allowed us the opportunity to listen to the young man all the way to the end. At least someone on the ground has sense enough and the liver enough to make this clear. It's one of us on the ground talking. He's right there on the ground. He's not abroad, like, because they will tell you that he stays him abroad and he's telling you, no, he is on the ground. He is living the situation. You know, even the colonial deal of Kumba 3 barely survived by the bread of the head and lost the child. How much more of you who has no security? So all the layers of security around his house, he still came under attack. How much of you? And listen, what I want us to bear in mind is that this period leading up to October 1 and a few days after is going to be too deadly, because La République du Cameroon is always ready to commit horrible atrocities to tell the world that those things are committed by Ambazonians, by our self-defense volunteers. So that is why you have to be careful. I received this dispatch while I was coming to the studio. And that's even what caused me to say, okay, after careful verification with my operatives back at home, I said it is important for us to share. Listen, it's in French, but I interpret. He says, Nozo, the stupid, lousy name they use in addressing us. Boya, attaque massif et pose DEEI à proximité du 21e BIM, programme le 1er octobre. That they claim that Ambazonians are planning massive attacks with improvised explosive devices, that's IEDs, and that they are going to drop some around the BIM, that's the Bataillon d'Intervention Mobile in Boya. It says, les terroristes s'apprêtent à attaquer la ville, that's Boya, sur 4 fronts, à savoir Boya Town, Mile 16 Junction, lycée bilingue de Boya, et du côté du 21e bataillon d'intervention mobile, où ils vont venir du village Tolé et replier par là. So they are saying, because all these areas I'm calling, if you live around these areas, be careful. They are going to organize stupid raids, claiming that they want to fish out self-defense volunteers that are coming to hide inside there previously to cause things, and a lot of lives are going to be lost for nothing. That is why I say this is not only true for Boya, it's true for Limbe, that's for Victoria, it's true for Kumba, it's true for Muyoka, it's true for Ekona, it's true for Bamenda, it's true for Mbengui, true for Fundong, true for Wum, true for Kumbo, true for Ndok, true for every part of Ambazonia. Listen and listen well. Because when they start planning that kind of massacre, they come up with this kind of claims. According to them, these are plans that have been put in place, and they have just discovered those plans and are sharing it among themselves so that they should prepare. But this, at the same time, they are going to present this to their allies on the international community to say this is the massacre we are preparing, so that when they do what they will do, they will claim that it is in response. That was in response to this. That's why I'm sharing this today, so you know. Don't be out of your house after 6 p.m. Don't find yourself at the wrong place at the wrong time and with the wrong company, you may bring us regrets. They say les ils vont utiliser les taxis pour faire entrer le matériel. That they are going to use taxis to bring in the materials. Les armes seront dissimulées avant et les terroristes vont juste les récupérer par la suite du côté de Moliko Stadium. You see that the self-defense volunteers are planning to bring in equipment, the arms and everything, and keep them before the day that they arrive. So they'll just pick them up and then they are going to keep them around the Moliko Stadium. Listen to this very carefully. C'est il y a une route derrière qui va vers le village de l'ancien PM et peut amener les gars jusqu'à Mounia. That there's a road behind the home of the former Prime Minister, Dr. Peter Mafane Musonge, and that road can lead right up to Mounia, so the guys are likely to hide there. Ces Tamba boys a quitté Douala et se trouvent en ce moment à Limbe. That these Amba boys have left Douala, so Amba boys now operate to in Douala. Listen very carefully. I'm sharing this just so that we do everything to stay safe, get out of harm's way. Ces Amba boys a quitté Douala et se trouve en ce moment à Limbe. Il est en possession de 2 armes pistolets automatiques et est chargé de suivre les mouvements du bille qui sortent de Limbe et il envisage une attaque d'un convoi du côté de Moliwe. That they are planning to attack a bee convoy around Moliwe. So he is saying that there's one Amba boy that has been dispatched from Douala, that he has 2 automatic rifles with him, and that his role is to monitor the movement of the bees, and that they are planning to attack a bee convoy around Moliwe. That is their imagination. Around Moliwe. Il est très dangereux. Oh, that the specific self-defense volunteer is too dangerous. Et a déjà tué les militaires et emporté les tenues. That he has already, destroyed so many soldiers and collected their uniforms. That particular self-defense volunteer is dangerous because he has already sent a lot of La République du Cameroun soldiers to meet Ekema and collected their uniforms. On dit qu'il serait dans la zone de Milfou, de Maifort. Il serait dans la zone de Maifort, il serait around Maifort et importer les casquettes et les capuches. That he often wears, this face caps and all of those things. Then he says, now he has finished for the pre-period, 1er octobre. Le plan d'attaque des grandes villes est envisagé de façon simultanée. Kumba, Manfé, Bamenda, Batibo, Muyuka, Boya. Et ils veulent même faire exploser des engins explosifs à half-mile vers le bâtiment du PMUC. Listen to that. Yeah, that on October 1, there's a plan to have, simultaneous attacks going on at the same time in Kumba, in Manfé, in Bamenda, in Batibo, in Muyuka, in Boya, and others, and all of that. Listen, like I said earlier, this is a massive attempt. This is an attempt by La République du Cameroun to play on the intelligence of the people and also on the intelligence of the international community as they plan their massive genocide in the period leading up to October 1, on October 1, and the few days after October 1. Folks, stay home as much as you can. Stay safe. Avoid doing anything that can put you in harm's way. Avoid going to nightclubs. Avoid finding yourself in drinking spots. Avoid going to any place where you have crowds. La République du Cameroun is bent. La République du Cameroun is bent on wreaking havoc on our people. And they will claim that it is in retaliation of the plan that they have drawn by themselves in their cerebellums. So folks, be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Don't put yourself in harm's way. No unnecessary movements. We are at war. The watchword is safety. Let us do everything to make it impossible for La République du Cameroon to carry out their intended genocide on our territory. I want to apologize for the quality of my image. I notice there's a technical issue that will be looked into by the technical department before our upcoming broadcasts. Until then, to have a nice time and most especially stay safe. To God be all the glory.